Welcome to MDC Learning, Standard SYBCom, Subject Business Law. Hello learners. Today we will talk about business law. Under that we will focus on Indian Companies Act 2013, Part 1. So let's know about first the introduction and the history of Indian Companies Act 2013. Then we will move further toward company and its formation. Under that we will see the official definition of Companies Act and the features of a company. So let's go further and see the introduction of Indian Companies Act. Companies Act 2013 is basically an act of a parliament which is applied to all the companies, and it basically regulates, which means it basically looks after all the activities of a company, the responsibilities of a company, directors, dissolution of a company, and many more. Currently, this particular act have 29 chapters which contains 470 sections as against 658 sections of the Companies Act which were in 1956 and has 7 schedules. However, currently there are only 438 sections remain in this act. Now on your screen you can see the genre of Companies Act 2013, the information part. Territorial extent is in India, which means this particular act is applied, it is applicable only in India. It is enacted by Parliament. It got its assent in 30 August 2014. It is signed in 2013. When it was commenced, it had 98 sections, and in 2014 it had 184 sections. When I talk about legislative history, the bill which was passed were Bill of the Companies Bill 2012. If I talk about bill citation, Bill number 121C of 2011. Companies Act 2013 repealed the Companies Act 1956, which means the Companies Act 1956 को हटा के Companies Act 2013 लाया गया है, amended by the current and recent amendment is the Companies Amendment Bill 2020. If I talk about the current status of the Companies Act 2013, it is completely amended. Now on your screen you can see the history of the Companies Act 2013. In 1850, the name of a Companies Act was Joint Stock Companies Act. This particular act was only applied to unlimited liability company. Then it was amended in 1857, where both limited and unlimited liability company were included. Then again third time this Joint Stock Company Act got amended in 1860. At that time, the banking and insurance companies were included. Then the fourth amendment took place in 1866. Joint Stock Companies Act 1866 cancelled all previous acts, which means when 1866 Act came, the Act of 1850, 1857 and 1860, all the provisions which were in 1850, 57 and 60 were cancelled. Then the Act were renamed in 1930 as Companies Act 1930. Then again it was corrected in 1936. Then the Companies Act 1956 were corrected after independence. Then the last and the current amendment took place on Companies Act 1930. And if I talk about completely recent amendment, it took place in 2020 because of all the COVID situations and other things. Let's go further and focus on the definition. This is very simple definition which is given in section 2 subsection 20 of the Companies Act 2013. Act defines the term company means a company incorporated under the Companies Act 2013 or any previous company law. सिंपल सा यहाँ पे कहने का मतलब है कंपनी का मतलब होता है एक ऐसी कंपनी जिसे रजिस्टर किया गया हो, इनकॉर्पोरेट किया गया हो, स्थापित किया गया हो कंपनीज एक्ट 2013 के रूल रेगुलेशन के द्वारा या फिर किसी भी प्रीवियस कंपनी लॉ के द्वारा. So this is what section 2 subsection 20 of the Companies Act 2013 talks about. Let's go further toward the features of a Companies Act. First one is a common seal. Common seal is nothing but a signature of a company. What is signature of a company? The stamp. The stamp of a company is nothing but a signature of a company. Then the registration. The good feature of a Companies Act is it provides a registration. Correct? Then third, independent corporate existence, that means separate legal entity. It simply means that the people who are working in a company is different from the company itself. For example, अगर कंपनी में काम करने वाले किसी पर्सन ने लोन लिया है तो वो लोन उस पर्सन का इंडिविजुअल खुद का लोन है, पर्सनल लोन है. उस लोन से कंपनी का कोई रिलेशन नहीं है. कंपनी एंड कंपनी में काम करने वाले लोग दोनों अलग अलग हैं. They are not same, one and the same thing. So, as simple as that, separate legal entity. Perpetual succession. It means company have perpetual successions, which means the people who are working in a company changes from time to time. जो लोग कंपनी में काम कर रहे हैं वो समय समय पे बदले जा सकते हैं. Of course, because of death, because of retirement, people who are working in a company can change, but the company remains the same. Let's see further. Separate property. Of course, the company have separate property on its own name. For example, HUL and the people who are working in a HUL both have separate property, right? Let's go further. And this one, capacity to contract in its own name. Company have capacity to contract on its own name. As you know, a company is a legal person. एक कंपनी लीगल पर्सन होती है, उसकी खुद की आइडेंटिटी होती है, उसके पास कॉमन सील होता है यानी खुद का सिग्नेचर करता है. स्टैंप जो होता है वो सिग्नेचर है, तो सिग्नेचर खुद का करता है वो. तो कैपेसिटी टू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट यानी खुद के नाम पे वो कॉन्ट्रैक्ट भी कर सकता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, पार्ले जी बिस्किट के अंदर अगर कीड़े निकलते हैं, कॉकरोचेस निकलते हैं, तो जब आप केस करने जाओगे तो कंपनी के सीईओ या कंपनी के सीएफओ या कंपनी में काम करने वाले लोगों के ऊपर आप केस नहीं करोगे, आप कंपनी के ऊपर केस करोगे. दैट मीन्स कोर्ट में जो केस रजिस्टर किया जाएगा वो पार्ले कंपनी के ऊपर होगा. उसी सेम तरीके से जो कंपनी है वो भी अपने नाम पे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट कर सकती है, अपने नाम पे प्रॉपर्टी खरीद सकती है. सो लेट्स सी द 2 points, natural limitation and a legal limitation. Natural limitation means जो मैरिज होता है, शादी होती है, वो भी एक तरह का कॉन्ट्रैक्ट होता है. तो जो कंपनी है वो आर्टिफिशियल लीगल पर्सन है, वो उसे पर्सन का पोजीशन दिया गया है बट वो पर्सन है नहीं. सो जो कंपनी है वो हर तरह के कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में उतर सकता है लेकिन वो नेचुरल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में नहीं उतर सकता. सो मैरिज इज अ नेचुरल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट. अ कंपनी कैन नॉट एंटर इनटू अ नेचुरल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, राइट? मैरिज नहीं कर सकता. तो ये एक लीगल ये एक नेचुरल लिमिटेशन है. सेकेंड वन इज अ लीगल लिमिटेशन. बहुत सारी तरह के लीगल लिमिटेशन भी एज पर एमओए एंड एओए हमारी कंपनी पे इम्पोज किए जाते हैं, लगाए जाते हैं. एमओए और एओ में जो बात लिखी गई है हमारी कंपनी उससे बियॉन्ड नहीं जा सकती और उसे ही लीगल लिमिटेशन हमारे इंडियन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट एक्ट 2013 में कहा गया है. लेट्स गो फर्दर एंड सी ट्रांसफरेबल शेयर्स. The shares means the property of a company, is completely transferable, which means it can move from one place to another. Let's go further and see capacity to sue and be sued. A particular company have capacity to sue and be sued. What is meaning of sue and to be sued is कंपनी के ऊपर केस किया जा सकता है और कंपनी भी किसी के ऊपर केस कर सकती है। जैसा कि मैंने अभी एक पार्ले का एग्जांपल दिया था, उस पार्ले बिस्किट में जब कीड़े निकलते हैं तो आप कंपनी के ऊपर केस करते हैं। दैट मीन्स यू कैन सू, आप केस कर सकते हैं। अगर कंपनी के ऊपर किसी ने केस कर दिया है तो टू बी सूड यानी कंपनी के ऊपर सू कर दिया गया है। सो दिस पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट टॉक्स अबाउट कैपेसिटी टू सू एंड बी सूड, यानी कंपनी केस कर सकती है और कंपनी के ऊपर कोई भी केस कर सकता है। लेट्स गो फर्दर एंड सी द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, दैट इज लिमिटेड लायबिलिटी। Company have limited liability. This liability is only associated toward the company and the people who are working in it are not associated with it. Thank you for attending today's lecture. I see you in next lecture.